Good evening, everybody. Eddie Howe is officially in place as the Newcastle United manager or head coach, to give him his official title. There he is on the pitch at St James's today and looking fantastic. And also, in my humble opinion, sounding absolutely fantastic too. Thank you for joining me this evening. It's been a bit of a weird day for me because I've been at work, but trying to follow everything that's been going on and obviously caught up with his press conference and his interview that he did on Newcastle United TV, and have to say, just really, really impressed with the guy. I was already quite happy with him, but actually hearing him speak, obviously seeing the video of him on the training ground, and now hearing him talk about the club, I just feel like he gets it. He gets Newcastle United already, and that if you can warm yourself to the fans straight away, you've got a brilliant chance. And honestly, just absolutely, I don't know, I'm just buzzing about it. And I'm just going to go straight to Peter's comment here because I know that Peter's messaged me a bit on Twitter today, and I know that the feeling around the club at the moment is like this for a lot of people. There's a new sheriff in town. His name is Eddie. Haven't been this excited and connected to a manager since the days of King Kev, Howe the Toon. And I think, there's definitely parallels between Howe coming in now and Keegan coming in 1992. And it's not the same. He's not the same guy. He doesn't have a link to the club like Keegan did, but he is, without a doubt, exciting. He just the way he was speaking in his press conference today was just absolutely brilliant for me. And I've managed to got some of his quotes and stuff, but like, just for example, no, that's not the one I want. This is it. Look, so this is his comments on the job ahead. Newcastle is this is what he said today. Newcastle's a perfect fit for me. The only aim is survival in the short-term club, but this is the bit that got me. I will commit 100% to the club and believe we have the ability in the squad to do this, but it's going to take a lot of hard work and sacrifice. He's under no illusions as to how hard this job is, but ultimately he knows what's going to happen. And these comments as well. I mean, just to have a manager who says things like this about Newcastle and the Northeast it is a breath of fresh air. I know it's a cliche, but it is an absolute breath of fresh air. I will treat the football club as if it's my own family. It's so important for me that I commit to the area. So family will be moving up after Christmas. So he's committed to this football club. He's committed to the job. Just like the owners have said they're committed for the long term. Eddie Howe has come out and he says he is committed to this football club as well. And I know that lots of people have been saying, "Oh, you'll have Eddie Howe for a couple of years, and he'll stabilise the club, and then you can get a real proper manager in." And I just sit there and I think, I really hope this works out for Eddie Howe and Newcastle, obviously. But I hope that actually we don't have to do that. I hope that he can be with us. Like, I know this is what you want with every manager who comes into your club, but there's not many managers where you truly believe that this could happen. But I think we've got an absolute gem here. I genuinely believe that, and I wouldn't say it otherwise. And I think this is what Jan was saying, really. I believe the door is shut for top managers for the next 10 years. So I think what Jan is saying there is that they believe that Eddie Howe can be the long-term answer to Newcastle United. So obviously, short-term, we know what the job is, and long-term, he could be the answer long-term as well. And who wouldn't want to wish the guy well after what we've seen of him from the first 2 days of his managerial career at Newcastle? Like, he came in, we were all really impressed with him coming in at 6:45 in the morning with his coaching staff. He came in, we saw the training video, and that got the fans excited. I mean, people talk about Newcastle United fans being wanting too much, but I just wonder, like, who's actually out there looking at what Newcastle supporters want? Because we got excited when the windows were cleaned at the Gallagher end. We got excited when the pressure washers were out cleaning the stadium. We got excited when a man turns up to do his job Like, it's the bare minimum that we should be expecting. But because standards under the old boss have been so low, we're buzzing. The fact that we've got a manager who will actually be on the training pitch and he'll be like getting stuck in and leading by example. And what I love, and one of his comments in his press conference today was, I'm just gonna have to get my notes up here because let me see if I can find it. He said something along the lines of, like, I'm gonna set. We come in and we set the example, and he's talking about him. He's talking about his coaching staff and him. He says, so he said he's honoured to be a Newcastle United manager. It's a privilege. He wants to create an environment where players want to come into work and develop a team spirit. He's going to work with them, not against them. And he says he promises he will do everything in our power to bring success to the club. And he shows players that we're going to show players that we care about them as people. And then what he was saying was like that'll get more out of them. And I think that's just like a really good life lesson, isn't it? Like, that's how if you treat people well, they'll work for you. Like, we've all probably had bosses who like are just like demanding and want this, that, and the other, and they're fierce, but they're not the ones who get the most out of you. Like, and football, in this state, that might have worked in football 20, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever. That kind of, oh yeah, it's like a man sport and all that kind of stuff. Nowadays, it's like, no, let's treat people as human beings and get the most out of them that way. And I think that's a really good thing. So, right, good evening, everyone. Blakey, good evening. Gordon, my dad, good evening. We're going to be doing another show, actually, because obviously last 2 weeks, my dad and my brother and me, we've done a show on a Thursday night. My brother couldn't do it this week, midweek, because he's busy. So we've decided to do it on Saturday morning. So there's going to be, we'll be doing a bit of a show, I think at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, but the time might change. Like, it might be 10:30 or something like that. Evening, Mark. Evening, Neil. And yeah, so this is what you were saying. So just going back to Peter's comment about this feels a bit Keegan-esque, being excited about where it feels like we're about to, ride the wave, doesn't it? It really feels like now we've got Eddie Howe in place. Now we've got the manager in place. This club can start moving forward. And yes, we're 19th. Yes, the side's terrible, but I don't know. It gives me belief. Like, that's what Keegan used to do. Keegan used to make people believe in themselves. That's what he specialised in. He got the most out of anyone, and he made them believe in themselves. And I think Eddie Howe, I think that's why there's similarities there. I think that's what he does. From all accounts from Bournemouth fans, Eddie Howe is a great man manager, and he works individually with every single player. And that's what Keegan used to do. And we know what happened with Keegan. It was a fantastic ride, and it was what he did for the club. And like I said, it's not exactly the same, but ultimately there's similarities to the situation. We're desperate. We have to save the club from a relegation. Is Eddie Howe the man to do it? I hope he is. I mean, we will see, won't we? Evening, Morgul. Evening, Paul, as well. And yeah, this is, I sort of agree that it's like something untangible, isn't it? It's like there's just something. It just feels like there's something special brewing here. And this could come back to haunt me and all that kind of stuff, these comments and getting carried away possibly. But I really just, and I think everyone else is feeling the same. I think, like Patrick as well, got a good feeling about this appointment. There's just lots of positivity. And it's not just because it's not an Ashley appointment. It's because he's genuinely, we're lucky to have him. I genuinely believe we're lucky to have got him. And again, some of the comments that he was making in his press conference, he was like, "Yeah, I've had other offers, but I was waiting for the right one." He said he said to himself internally that he was always going to take a year away when he left Bournemouth, so he knew that he was going to be out of the game for at least a year, no matter what job came up. But what he was going to do was, invest time in himself, become a better coach, and I'll get onto that later. He said quite a bit about that sort of stuff, and really start to develop himself as a manager, but then go back into management. And then obviously he was heavily linked with the Celtic job. He's had other offers that we don't know which clubs they are, but he's had other offers, and I think, I just think that he has a good thing about him. So, he's got his head screwed on, absolutely, and whatnot. Thank you. I'm glad someone noticed that. So on the picture, I felt I didn't. It was the one thing that spoilt the photograph, wasn't it? Let me just put the picture back up. you know, there he is. I just felt I had to blur those signs out. They're just not right. You get the tat signs down off our stadium, please, as soon as possible. But there he is. You know, smart guy, only 43 years old. He's got, you know, he's already managed like over 500 football matches as a manager, and yet he's only 43. Like, it's crazy. And in theory, I was sort of texting my dad and stuff earlier. In theory, he's got his best years ahead of him, and he actually said in his press conference as well that he believes he's come back as a better manager. He believes that genuinely he's better than he was. Blakey thinks that he means business. I think absolutely. And this is it, Matt. You can see why the owners were impressed, because he just speaks so well, and he's knowledgeable, clearly knowledgeable. And yeah, and absolutely, Paul, overtones of Keegan. And I don't think we're reaching there. I think there genuinely is. I think it's a genuine thing. So Mark saying, yeah, favourite quote, I can't promise results, but I can promise efforts. Absolutely. And he said some amazing things, really. I'm just trying to find the ones that I want now. This one about playing style was just fantastic. Like, this is what we want to hear. And this is why I think he just gets it. He gets Newcastle already. On his playing style, he loves to attack and be on the front foot. He wants to play with speed, fast, dynamic movements, trying to win games, and he wants to impose ourselves on the opposition. Now, we can have the debate all night long about whether we've got the players to do that, but I'd defy anyone who's watched Eddie Howe over the last 2 days to sort of deny that he's capable of getting more out of this squad of players, because I sure as hell feel like he is well capable of getting more out of this squad of players than we've seen in the last 2 years. And look, we're not going to win every game. It's going to be tough. We still have, ultimately, the players are average, a lot of them. But like I've been saying, it's about becoming, you want your manager to make this squad more than the sum of their parts. And we see it so often in the Premier League where clubs come up. Look at like Leeds last season were the example. Sheffield United the season before. They come up, they have an amazing first season. They finish better in a higher place than really their talent suggests they should. And then they struggle a bit the next season. And I think, you know, we need Eddie Howe for us this season to make us better than the sum of our parts. And I've got absolutely no, I just feel so confident that he'll do it now. And I hope I'm not wrong, but like, I really feel about that. Brian says the feeling about Eddie being the right man for the job is getting stronger and stronger. And this is what I mean. Like, I just, the more that it just sort of makes sense, the more that it's happened. And Paul, the next message down, I'm glad Emery bottled it. And actually, I was sat there watching the interviews and the press conference and stuff. And I was thinking, yeah, you know what? Like, I know Emery's obviously an amazing manager. I don't want to start pretending that I wasn't chuffed when I thought what we were going to get him, but actually, maybe Eddie Howe is just the right man for Newcastle United. Maybe he's the man who he so gets the club. He gets it already. Like, I love that. Look, I'll treat the football club as if it's my own family. He knew what Newcastle United fans wanted to see in terms of a style of football, and he said as well that he's not going to come in and change the way he plays football, right? So we know that's how he's going to play. He's not going to try and be defensive. Now, how he does that with this squad of players is going to be bloody interesting, because, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know how he's going to do it, but I have faith that he will do it. Absolute faith that he will be able to do it. Yeah, and yeah, just talking about this compared to the other guy. This is the thing, right? So Steve Bruce, right? Oh, he's one of their own. Why did they not like him? I'm sorry, but in one press conference, Eddie Howe has shown a much greater understanding of Newcastle United and its supporters than Steve Bruce, the so-called Newcastle supporter, has ever done in 2.5 years. He never got it. Eddie Howe's moving to the northeast because what he said was, the amount of hours I'm going to put into this football club, I can't possibly not live around here. I have to invest in the area. What did Steve Bruce do? He didn't even live in the area, and he's supposed to be a Geordie. Like, it's just, and this is what annoys me when people say, "Oh, well, but he's a Geordie, he's one of your own." It's not about that. It's never been about that with Newcastle supporters. We love people who get the club. We love Gavin Peacock. We love Les Ferdinand. We love Rob Lee. We love Warren Barton. We love Kevin Keegan. We love so many people and players who are not from Newcastle. It's just this stupid myth. And yet you've got Steve Bruce, who is a Geordie, who we don't like. It's not like it's just because he's not a good person. It's got nothing to do with where anyone comes from, and it never has been. And it's just a lazy narrative. Anyway, I'm ranting about that now. But yeah, this is it. How gets the fans, and I cannot wait to be at that Brentford game and see the reception that Eddie Howe gets, because I think it's going to blow his. I think it'll blow his socks off. He'll be absolutely. I think he'll in his head he'll sort of wonder what it'll be like, but I don't think he'll be. I don't think he'll be able to fully expect what he's about to experience in a couple of weeks' time. Keith, evening, Keith. First thing that stands out to me is that Eddie Howe's language is a lot more positive, can-do, constructive, and inclusive than Bruce's ever was. And this is it. Like it was night and day, wasn't it? He's positive. Even going back to I'm just gonna put this slide back up. Even going back to, let me get the right slide. Not that one. Playing style, wasn't it? This is it. Look, we love to attack and be front. This is positive play. This is positive. Love to attack, love to be on the front foot. We play with speed. We're fast, dynamic movements. And he actually said something about playing as a team, not as a bunch of individuals. And he wants to try and win the game. And he wants to impose ourselves on the opposition rather than have the opposition impose themselves on us. That is the kind of positive language we have been crying out for absolutely years, really. Like at least 2 years. I mean, we know Rafa had a slightly different approach, but he was defensive. But like ultimately, that is music to my ears. Absolutely, absolutely. Peter agrees. I would love it if I don't want Newcastle to go through a million managers. I really hope that we can get the guy and that he is the right guy. And time will tell, of course, as Howe himself said. Look, I can't promise anything. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to work my hardest. I'm going to give absolutely every ounce of everything to this football club. It might go wrong, but if it does go wrong, it's not because he hasn't put the effort in. And ultimately, what more can we possibly ask for than that? As long as the players are doing the same, we can't complain. Paddy believes Eddie Howe is the best man for the job, and I strongly believe. Like I said, the more I hear and see from him, the more I believe that. The more I'm thinking Eddie Howe is the perfect fit for Newcastle United at this moment in time. And hopefully he keeps us up and then he can build on it himself, because what I love about him is this desire to improve himself. Like it takes quite a lot of balls, in my opinion, to say, yeah, you know what, I'm not a perfect coach. I can always get better. I can always improve. And that is, for me, there's not many coaches in football who actually do that. I think a lot of them stick to what they do and what they know. And it's only really the top coaches that really keep developing and changing and improving and think, okay, right, I've always played this system, but actually I'm going to try doing this now because I believe these things work differently or the game's changed. Or you've got to be, you can never stand still in football. We always say that, don't we? If you don't sign people, if you stand still, you go backwards in football. It's the same as a football manager. If you don't change your methods and routines and all that kind of stuff, like Eddie Howe in his press conference literally said at one point, in his year off, he has been looking at all his old training sessions and he has been analysing them to see how he can make them better. Now, if that isn't a level of detail that we haven't seen at the club for, well, at least since Rafa, but then since Bobby Robson before that, what? It's just it sounds mental. And the Bournemouth fans, like I said, the ones I've listened to, absolutely said this is why they love him. It's no wonder they love him for everything he did for them, but it's the way he did it as well. It's the way he did it. John, yeah, absolutely, just very, very impressed. And if you haven't watched his interview on Newcastle NUFC TV, go and find that afterwards as well, because that's well worth looking at. Mogul, I like the way he bossed the training. Now he's bossed the press conference. It's all about the football for me. Yeah, obviously that's in relation to the comments asked about Saudi Arabia. I thought he handled that really well. He just said it's a footballing decision. I'm here to think about football. I'm all about the football. And look, those issues are going to come up. We're going to have to get used to that as Newcastle United supporters. That ultimately we're always going to have that. But Howe was obviously not going to answer anything about like that today, and he really snuffed that out really quickly. And I think it is all about the football for him. I don't think it has. I don't know. Maybe it has crossed his mind, or maybe he thought about it. But at the end of the day, he's just a football man who wants to do his job. He's got an opportunity at a great club, and it's a massive club. Let's be honest. This is a big job, and it's even bigger now that we've got the owners that we have, and where they want to take us to. So it's just great. And the training video as well. Like there was just some we got so much out of that as a set of fans, didn't we? I mean, I must have watched it about a dozen times easily. It's just fab. Like just seeing him so organised and like just explaining to the players, like, look, you can't stand still. You need to be moving. You need to be finding the space. It's like very basic stuff, really, but that's what we're dealing with here. So I'm really excited to see what he can do in 2 weeks before the Brentford game. And yeah, there's a lot of promises, a lot of things that are promising. So just a quick question for everyone: do you feel more confident of surviving in the Premier League now that Howe is in, and that you've seen his training session, you've seen his interviews? Are you feeling more confident, less confident, or are you feeling the same as you did before, that Newcastle United are going to keep their Premier League status this season? Let me know in the comments. Let me know. Are you more confident or less confident? I think you probably know how I feel. I feel more confident, but I always felt fairly level-headed about the fact that the gap is not that big yet, and if we can just maintain that gap, we'll be all right. And I think we'll do all right. And but having seen Howe, I feel even more confident now. I really do feel a bit more confident about that. So yeah, so let me know what you think to that. Just let me know what you think. Do you feel more confident or less confident? And ultimately, Blakey, this is it. We look and sound like a professional football club once again. And ultimately, like, we can stop stressing now that we haven't got a new manager in. We haven't got Graham Jones is taking another game. Blah 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 blah. Look, we've got a manager. We've got a blooming good manager with a good set of coaches coming with him. And I'll go through the coaches who have come with him soon. And that is ultimately, if you've got a good manager in place who can run the first team well, then that lets the owners not relax, but it takes the pressure off them that they've got that man in place, and now they can work on the behind-the-scenes stuff and putting that football structure in place that just isn't there. And we've got to remember that. The football structure at the club still isn't there. But now, the owners, Stavely and co, they can all get on with that now. They can get on with building that structure behind the scenes, building this football club up into what it should be. And, oh man, it's so exciting. I'm so excited about it. The whole thing now. I'm just. This is a tough season still. Like, we're in a mess, but we finally have hope again. Peter Roberts, I've had Eddie Howe content on YouTube most of the day. Can't get enough of the man and his. Yeah, and this is it. Like, there's some really good videos of him at Bournemouth and stuff as well, isn't there? That are well worth watching. Yeah. Forget Emery. He wasn't interested once he heard we were near the bottom. Yeah, possibly, Paddy. I mean, who knows whether that was the reason he didn't come, or whether he got a bit spooked because it all kind of came out before he wanted it to, or whatever. But ultimately, I'm sort of not bothered about that now. When he released that statement saying he wasn't coming, I was thinking, oh no, we're in a bad situation, and now Eddie Howe's the next one. But I really feel like it's better now. Yeah, I agree, Matt. That it feels like it has started officially. That's kind of what I was just trying to say. Like, we've got the man in place. He can get on with the football side of things. The owners can now get on with the stuff they need to get on with behind the scenes. And ultimately, hopefully we can start to build. And hopefully, oh my goodness, fingers crossed, we can start winning some football matches. Keith, Ian, love the format of the new show you've been doing, your dad and your brother. Excellent show. Thank you. That's great, Keith. Thank you. Yeah, we enjoy doing it as well. So it's kind of nice. Sometimes our schedules don't always work, which is why we're doing it on Saturday morning this week. So I appreciate Saturday morning might not be the best time for everybody, but it might be a bit different. There might be something that isn't really catered for in the Newcastle United YouTube community. I know that most of the channels do their streams on an evening and that kind of thing, and that's fine. But I get that. But Saturday morning, we'll see what it's like. yeah, so get your coffee, get YouTube on, and you can sit and listen to me, my dad, and my brother, and we can chat about all things Newcastle, and we'll have some other ideas in the show as well. So thank you for that, Keith. Eddie Howe already gets what we want, unlike Bruce. Exactly, Liam. Absolutely nail on the head. A realist, not a showboater. I love that saying. Love that saying. The training video was awesome. I tried to clip it actually. I've forgotten to upload it to here, unfortunately. I was gonna play it, but never mind. Paul seems he's like a cross between Keegan and Bobby Robson as a man. Very good vibes about him. This is it. He's like holds himself so well, so professional. Seems to know what he's doing, but he's got that Keegan's kind of enthusiasm and charisma and charm, and I think he'll surprise people, like particularly people who aren't Newcastle people, like fans of other clubs who are mocking us at the moment. Richest club in the world can only get Eddie Howe. We'll see about that. I'm sure Villa and Norwich would have been interested in him. I'm sure he's had loads of offers while he's been out. At the end of the day, he's a very good manager. He did a great job at Bournemouth, and the relegation aside, it really doesn't. I don't think that taints his CV that much, to be perfectly honest with you, when you consider the size of Bournemouth and that sort of thing. Yeah, another team that came up had a very good first season. We need to get that. We need to get that kind of that bounce from him, don't we? Cherry's fan here. Evening, Wing. Nice to have you here. How did the Dans find Eddie so far? If he's personable enough for he was fans? Yeah, well, we're just saying absolutely. Just we're all buzzing about him. Generally, like from what I've seen, I've not seen any negative comments about his interviews today. Have been fantastic. His coaching session videos that we saw yesterday, we were very, very impressed with. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that we understand why the Bournemouth fans absolutely idolise the guy, and obviously we appreciate the record he had for you guys, and we just hope that he can do for us what he did for you, and get us out of a mess and then build us. And fingers crossed he can do that. Norvik. The big question is, will John Joe recover from trying by the Arsenal game? I don't know, but there was definitely some. Was it Carl Darlow? There was a picture of him was absolutely gasping during the training session. He looked like he was absolutely knackered. In fact, it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Neil, I think a lot of the negativity under Bruce wouldn't have been half as bad if they tried to play in a positive way. Yeah, and I think you're right, and not wanting to lose every game and having a negative setup. Yeah, and ultimately it comes down to like how do you want to do it as a manager. So Bruce claimed to be like this defensive genius, I guess, but he wasn't. Like he made the defense worse season on season. We got worse defensively every year, and ultimately at the start of this season we've conceded more goals than we ever have to start a football season. Certainly in the Premier League era. I don't know about before that. I've not actually checked the facts on that, but we conceded 24 goals now in 11 matches. It's outrageously bad. We would have been better, just been a bit more positive, but he didn't. And anyway, he's gone. I don't want to talk about that guy anymore. Apart from Rafa, I haven't been as happy with the appointment of a manager since Sir Bobby. I totally agree. I know. Like people are going back to the Keegan appointment, which was amazing for the club. I was a bit young actually at the time to appreciate the Keegan thing. Like when he arrived, I kind of got the buzz about it because like my dad was just telling me that this is amazing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, in terms of actually remember, like obviously then I love the Keegan ride. I remember that really well. Obviously the 5 years that we had in that first stint. Amazing, like just incredible, and what he did for the club and the players he attracted and all this kind of stuff, just fantastic. But yeah, then Bobby Robson came in, and that was something else. Like that, I remember that vividly. So yeah, really good, nice one, Liam. Bought your ticket for Burnley at home today. Good one. I'm actually missing the Burnley at home game. I won't be there for that game, but I'll be at the Norwich game and the Burnley game, and I'm also going to Leicester away, which I'm really excited about. So let's talk about the assistant managers then. So, is it a joint? I didn't see that, Mark. So is it a joint assistant managers? Is that? Yeah, that fills me with a little bit of worry. I'm not sure I like the sound of that, to be honest, because too many cooks and all that. This is what he said about the coaches. So he said these are the people that came with him. Jason Tyndall, who's been his assistant manager forever. He's the guy who, from his very first match at Bournemouth, Jason Tyndall was his assistant coach, and he's been with him ever since. Stephen Purchase, Simon Weatherstone, and Dan Hodges have come with him. I don't know anything about the last three of those people. I don't know. I'm guessing they must be well regarded though, because of what they did, obviously at Bournemouth. So I just need to hide that. But then Howe had this to say about Graham Jones. So basically, Graham Jones is staying, right? And he said, obviously, he said the right thing. Whether this is the truth or not, who knows? But he said, look, I'm really happy that Graham Jones is staying too. He said he always wanted to expand his backroom staff. It was something he was thinking of doing. So he's happy that Jones is here and he gets on well with Jones. Now, what I didn't realise, Mark, was that it's a joint assistant thing. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure I like the sound of that, if I'm honest. It sounds like Graham Jones has been offered something by the. It sounds like the new owners have offered Jones that job, like, regardless, if that makes sense. And I wonder if that's where this whole story came from about there being an issue with the backroom staff. So I actually wonder, just thinking that this is just off the top of my head, but I'm just wondering if Eddie Howe has had some reassurances that actually Jason Tyndall will have kind of more authority, the guy he actually wants to be his assistant manager, rather than Graham Jones. So I'm wondering if that was what the delay was before them all signing the deals. But yeah, the whole thing, I'm not liking that. But the Gerard Houllier Roy Evans thing was slightly different because that was the actual manager's job, wasn't it? So I don't know, we'll see. Gordon, I think Eddie will change the players' mentality, adapt to a new style, and they will enjoy the change. We will be fitter, organised, and we do have match winners. Bring it on. Yeah, and this is it. I think, let's be honest, we have got. I've always said that, like, can you remember at the beginning of last season when we bought Fraser, we bought Wilson, we had St. Maximin, and who else did we? Oh, we brought Lewis in as well, didn't we? And like, we all thought, oh, this is great. This is taking the team to the next level. And then obviously we didn't. But I think that was down to coaching. I still think there's more quality in that team than we give credit for ourselves sometimes. I think we're very down on it all because they've just been playing so poorly, but they're not fit, they're not coached well. And I think coaching and fitness go a long way in the Premier League. And if you've got the right attitude and the right positive attitude, you can do a lot with the players you have. And this is, again, I'm going to repeat myself, but it's like being more than the sum of your parts. 2 days of Eddie Howe and the amount of positivity is unbelievable. I have not known the fan base be this positive for. I honestly can't remember. Genuinely, probably the Bobby Robson era, like this positive. Or maybe the very start of the Mike Ashley era when Keegan came. When we thought it was going to be amazing, but it didn't last long because obviously things went wrong with that. That was a very short period of time. But yeah, apart from that, it's probably the Bobby Robson time. Stephen, best form of a defence is attack. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a really good point, Blakey. He won't take any crap if the players don't buy into his way. Let's not kid ourselves. Eddie Howe's a nice guy, but he has been a very good manager at a Premier League club for 5 years, for Bournemouth for many, many years. He is ruthless. He will be ruthless. He won't. He will make tough decisions if they have to be made. I'm absolutely sure of that. And yeah, I think he'll surprise people with the decisions he makes and what he's like. He won't suffer fools. He won't put up with people who aren't pulling the weight. He'll get rid of them. Matt, it's been 20 years since I enjoyed being a Newcastle fan this much and we're joint bottom of the table. It's crazy, isn't it? It's absolutely mad. It's absolutely mad. Absolutely crazy that we are 19th but we're all buzzing about it. Like it is fab. It's fab. He was asked about this, Neil, in his press conference. Michael Edwards, sporting director from Liverpool, to leave his post in the summer. But I mean, clearly Eddie Howe, he sort of batted that one away quite easily. He just sort of said, I know nothing about that. But whether that's true or not, who knows? I mean, we're being linked with the guy. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head. The guy who was at Chelsea. He seems to be strongly linked with us. So we'll see. I mean, ultimately, I don't know much about these guys who do director of football roles and all that kind of stuff. But if we get someone who's done a good job at Chelsea or a good job at Liverpool, then you know that you're getting someone decent. I think so. Right. Okay. Gosh. Right. I think I'm miles behind on the comments here. So yeah. So this is me going back to how do you think we'll survive? God, that was about 15 minutes ago. So Liam thinks, yeah, we'll stay up by the skin of our teeth. John reckons, absolutely, yes, we will survive now. Let me know if you've just joined the stream. The question was, are you more confident now or less confident that we will survive now that you've seen the first couple of days of Eddie Howe? Peter, my confidence on us is staying up is sky high at the moment, and that's because we haven't kicked a game, we haven't kicked a football in an actual competitive game yet. I'm sure that opinion can change. No one's held to these opinions, right? You can change them throughout the season. It's not a problem. But at this moment in time, I feel quite confident. Howe's going to give the team an identity, according to Ian. Good name. Something that Bruce has never been able to do. Totally agree. Gordon is definitely more confident. Sean says, hopefully we can benefit from the new manager bounce. We really need to. And I'm going to come back onto that in a second as well. Neil reckons we're going to finish between 11th and 16th. It would be fab if we survive, but obviously it would be even better if we survive comfortably. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. View from the lookout. Yeah. Hey, and so I'm leaving the training ground, and well, not that I was surprised he got the driver to reverse back up to greet the fans, and that is what managers do. I saw that clip too. So, absolutely amazing. It was really quite late at night. There was a few Newcastle supporters there. One of them, YouTube, I'm sure some of you know, called Adam Pearson. He was there, and basically the car drove past them, and then about 10 seconds later, he must have got the driver to stop and got him to reverse, and he got out and he chatted to the fans. He took photos with the fans. Just that is what you want. That is what you want at the club. Paul is more confident after seeing the training interviews. Mark is also more confident about December. I don't want to get too confident about December, Mark, but I sort of alluded to this in my last live stream. I've got a feeling that we'll pick up more points than people reckon we will in December. I've just got a sneaky feeling about that. Paul, very impressed by his press conference and interview. Patrick thinks he's more confident, but survival will probably be achieved with a couple of games left. Yes, let's not kid ourselves. It's unlikely that we'll be safe, in March. It's almost impossible that we will be. So it's going to be close, but hopefully if we get on the right trajectory quickly, we will be around the relegation zone, but out of it, and kind of, we won't be like desperate for points at the end. We'll be like, how many points do we need to stay safe? And hopefully it'll come down to that sort of situation. Bobby Robson will be smiling down on Newcastle now that Eddie's. I'm sure Bobby would absolutely agree with that. Morgan, more confident, but that's mainly because I've always been confident. First thing I used to look for under the old regime, are there 3 teams worse than us? Well, let's talk about that. 3 teams worse than us. Norwich, certainly worse than us. I think, and I don't want to. Do I say this now? I'm a bit superstitious. I think Brentford are going to get dragged into it, and if we beat them, we'll have done that. We'll have sort of achieved that in a sense because they'll only be 4 points off the relegation zone. I think Brentford are going to be in the relegation fight. They might be good enough to stay up. I don't know. It really depends how the next couple of months go for them. Then you've got the likes of Burnley. Burnley are funny. They might survive. Watford are funny because you don't quite know what you're going to get with them. They've had a good. Who did they beat? Was it Everton, wasn't it? They beat Everton, and then they lost. Well, they lost heavily to Liverpool. Then they lost again somewhere. So you don't know what you're getting with Watford either. But inconsistent team. That's not a bad thing. Who else is down there? Us, obviously. Leeds. I think Leeds will be fine. I think they'll pull out of it. They've got what's his face back in the middle of the park. I can't remember his name. His name's escaped me. Anyway, so I think they'll be okay now, Leeds, unfortunately. Villa are looking dodgy. So, obviously they're in for a new manager as well. So maybe they'll be expecting a bounce. Neil, more confident about effort, tactics, strategy, everything. Yeah, just more confident about it. Evening. Yeah, any player who wants to do something in the game will run through walls for House. Start of something great, this. I really feel like it could be the start of... It really could be the start of something great too. That's very kind of you, Paul. Thank you. I love doing it. I'm enjoying it, and I do feel like this club is. I feel like the rocket fuel's just been lit. I really feel like that, and I feel like we're just about to do something special as a club. I hope that doesn't come back to haunt me, but I really do. I really do feel like that. I'm excited, genuinely excited for the first time in God knows a decade, more than a decade and a half probably. I think John Joe might be one of the players who flourish under Howe. I think we may be surprised by a few players we currently doubted under Bruce. I think this is a fair point. Not necessarily about Shelvey, but I do think I strongly believe that Howe can get more out of players like Shelvey, and what he'll do is he'll say, "Look, just do the basics better. You're a decent player. Like, you know, he probably should have left the club 3 years ago. We know that, but he might get a bit more out of him." I'm not going to get into this tonight, but I think Joe Linton's another one. If you watch my last one, you'll know what all that was about. But I think there are players in that squad who will get more out of. I think Lewis will come back in at left back, and I think we'll get more out of him. I think Bruce had his favourites who he wouldn't get away from. I'm really excited to see what Howe does with like Fraser and Sam Maximin and Almiron. Like those are all players whose output could be greater. If he can get 10% more out of all of those players, 15% more, whatever, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. I think we can score goals. We've scored a few goals this season. We're not struggling that badly to score goals. If Howe can improve that, get us playing on the front foot more like he wants to, we'll be fine. If you can score goals in the Premier League, you can generally stay up. The worry is the defence. I've said that, and Howe's teams in the past historically have conceded a lot of goals. So that's my only concern about him. But what I think is, and this is what a Bournemouth fan said the other day, and the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. He's a student of the game. Like he studies the game, and in his year and a bit away from football, he said in the press conference, "I have been improving myself, getting better as a manager." He feels like he's a better manager now than he was when he left Bournemouth, and that's because he's studied things, he's been to other clubs, he's watched things, he's seen other methods. So who's to say that one of the things he doesn't want to implement when he comes back to Newcastle is better defensive methods? And maybe he's identified that as a weak area of himself. We'll see. We will see. Eddie Howe and Rafa, only points that I've been happy about. Yeah, the thing is, like, I was thinking about this actually, Liam. So back at the very start of the Ashley reign, he appointed Keegan, and everyone was buzzing for that. Everyone was buzzing for that. It went wrong very, very quickly because obviously Keegan got screwed over by Ashley and Dennis Wise. Houghton was popular, but he wasn't really like he did the job temporarily and then was given it because, well, like Ashley didn't have anyone else to give it to. So there wasn't like a real buzz about Houghton, even though he was like people liked him and he did a good job for us. But I agree. I think Rafa was the other one that we were quite excited about. Well, very excited about because of his pedigree. All the creative players should improve now. Bruce played not to lose rather than to win. That never works. Yeah, it doesn't work, especially if you're not good at keeping the defense tight, which Bruce wasn't. But yeah, and this is it, Ian. I think there's some good creative players in that team. That isn't really where our weakness is. We lack depth, certainly in centre forward and that sort of thing. But ultimately, we have some good attackers, and I think like Almiron, he. I can't wait to see what he can get out of Almiron, because really, if Almiron can get kick on under, it's like make or break for Almiron. Really, either I think he'll be on his way out if he doesn't improve under Howe quickly. So, but I hope for his sake that he does. Was that where the comment came from on Adam Pearson's channel? So he spoke to Jones through the car window, didn't he? And he said they were joint number 2. That's an interesting. Bit of an exclusive for Adam, that then, wasn't it? Yeah, there you go. So, all right, so there you go on that clip. That's interesting. Funny that he said that to a fan. Like, that's crazy, isn't it? Really good point, this. So, this is what I was saying earlier about Eddie Howe. Don't be surprised. Yeah, he's a nice guy, but I bet he's ruthless. And Keegan was ruthless. Kelly, save the club. Save the club with that goal against Portsmouth. Got us promoted, was a massive part of the promotion team in 1993, 92, 93. Scored Scored on the final day of the season against Leicester. Scored the final away game that secured promotion against Grimsby Town. Sold in the summer. Got rid of him. Keegan was ruthless. People forget that. People forget that he was ruthless. And I think Howe will be too. Chris, so you're a Bournemouth fan. You'd love to see Fraser dropped by Eddie as a Bournemouth fan. Is that what happened with Fraser at Bournemouth then? Was he fine at Bournemouth until the time, like in COVID, when he wouldn't sign the extension? Or was there issues before he signed the extension? Because I don't know. I can't quite get my head around what fully happened there. Joe Linton under Howe will be a bigger comeback than ever. Would it be a comeback? Has he ever been? That's the problem with Joe Linton, isn't it? Jamie Mack's feeling very confident. UK Jack, I think we'll stay up, but if we go down, we have to stick with Howe. And that's the thing. We've got the manager in place if we do go down. If it does go belly up, I think we've got the manager there who can bring us back up and kick on from there. So we will see. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Like I said, there's still quite a lot of football left to play, and I don't think the gap's that big that it can't be overcome. If we get on a good run, if we can get some good points, we'll be all right. We'll stay up under Eddie, and it just says it just feels right. It just feels right. I think we'll stay up, but it could be a serious nail-biting end to the season. I think it's going to be. I think we have to prepare ourselves for the fact that it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be straightforward. I think we'll be the last 3-4 games of the season. We're going to be in and around the relegation zone. Jonathan thinks differently. He thinks we will comfortably stay up come the end of the season, and he also think we may see players like Lewis come back in and gain confidence. I agree with that, and I'm fully expecting. I'm going to do a video about this actually, about what I predict will be Howe's first starting 11 against Brentford. So that'll probably come out next week, closer to the Brentford match. But I think at this point, I will do a bit more research before the video records, but I think he'll probably go 4 at the back. That's what I suspect he'll do, because that just gives him. I feel like that gives him more chance to be a little bit more, to be compact enough, but also creative. And I think it'll give him enough to be creative with, but also shore the midfield up a little bit as well. This is true. Yeah, this is what you want. This is what the good managers do, right? So after the training on the first team on Monday, he went and watched the under-11s play. And I heard as well, it was the under-9s as well. Different class. This is a guy who is going to become part of Newcastle United. He is going to give his everything to the club. And he's going to go watch the under-23s. He's going to go and watch the youth teams. He'll probably go and watch the women's team just because he wants the whole club to be. He strikes me as a guy who understands the value of community, and he gets it. He absolutely gets it, and I cannot wait for him to meet the fans properly in the stadium, because as soon as he walks out against Brentford, he's going to realise that he has got 52,000 friends right behind him. Watford don't have a good run of fixtures till the end of January. Could leapfrog them. Josh King, anyone? Well, again, of course, that's an obvious link as well, isn't it? And maybe he's the kind of player that, let's just sign all the Bournemouth players, or the ex-Bournemouth players. Howe knows how to beat the big sides. Look at his record against top teams like Chelsea and Liverpool. Haven't looked into his record in that sense. Is it decent then, I'm assuming, by that poll? I'm not sure. I've not really looked into his record in that sense at Bournemouth. The only thing I've done is looked at the kind of overall record. Interesting. Thanks for watching though. Appreciate the watch view and all that kind of stuff. Sir Eddie Howe. Brentford will go down. Yeah, Brentford we could really cause them problems. I think they're on a bad run. They obviously started the season really well, but they could be in trouble. Let's hope that we can add to their misery in a week on Saturday. Eddie will give you 12 hours a day every day, 6 till 6 working all day long. Amazing. And that's just awesome, because you just want a guy who's invested in it. You just want a guy who, is completely giving every single thing to the club at every level. Thomas, very excited about the future of the club. Stoked for the future of the club. We're going to be all right. I feel like we are going to. I feel like we will be. I feel like we will be. That's it. Sorry. Yeah, Phillips and Bamford. Yeah, I think Leeds will be fine. I think they'll pick up. I've never really thought Leeds will be in that bigger trouble. If Borough come up and we stay up, I'd love to go to the Tyne Tees derby. There's not been a competitive one since our 09-10 season. Yeah, right at the end of the season as well, wasn't it? And we beat them, but then basically couldn't beat anyone else that season because we went down with Middlesbrough. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about like I said I'm not bothered about derby matches at all, and I don't. So the Mackham matches, if we never played them again, I wouldn't be bothered. But even when we were beating them all the time, I just hated derby matches. The Borough matches, I don't class them as derby matches at all. But fair play, Joe. They would obviously love to play us and try and knock us off our perch, I suppose. But so Norwich, Newcastle, Burnley will go down. Yeah, we'll see. We might. You might be right. You might not be. Arsenal might get the Champions League. They might not. We'll see, won't we? That's why we love football. Norwich, Burnley, Watford for relegation. The thing with that, Robbie, if Joe Linton was any good, we'll surely would know by now. I'm not saying Joe Linton is a world beater. I'm not saying he's worth £40 million. I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but I think there's a player in there who can do a job for us this season. That's my stance on it. I'm not saying he's world class or anything like that. I just think there's more. I think we can get more from him. And little things I've seen recently just give me a little bit of confidence that I think he's got a good attitude as well. So I think that'll help him. I think that'll really help him under Howe. This is what I'm saying about Almiron. Imagine Almiron with some more ball control and more fitness, suddenly a Premiership player. It's down to him under Howe. He'll get the chance under Howe to prove it or not. And if he doesn't prove it, I think he will. I think he'll be sold. But if he can show us more assists. But think about it. Howe wants to play more attacking. So there's going to be more opportunities for Almiron to create assists. So let's hope it works. That is mental. I'm that confident I stuck a tenner on a top half finish. That would be some end to the season, that wouldn't it? If we finished in the top 10. Fair play, Ed. I hope it comes off for you. What odds did you get on that? Just let me know. What odds did you get on that? It's crazy. I wouldn't be that confident. Top priority to name a new captain. Lascelles one of the weakest links in the team. Like I said, I think everyone gets a clean slate under Howe. I think he will come in. He sort of said as much himself in the press conference today that he will. In fact, I think I put it on a slide. Let me have a look. Job ahead. Yes. So he was talking about this sort of stuff. So Newcastle's perfect fit for me. Only aim is survival in the short term. He wasn't going to be drawn longer than that. I'll commit 100% to the club and believe we have the ability in the squad to do this, but it's going to take a lot of hard work and sacrifice. And what he'll do is he will be figuring out exactly who is up for the fight and who isn't. And he won't want anything to do with the people that isn't. Now, whether Lascelles can prove to himself that he's got something about him, I don't know. He might not. I know Lascelles isn't popular with the fan base at the moment, so we'll see what happens there. I'm not alone on the Joe Linton thing, but I do think I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Linton becomes a bit of a feature in Howe's team. Certainly initially, honestly, wouldn't surprise me at all. I think there's a player there. Not a £40 million player, but just someone who could help us do a job this season. So Chris, thank you, Chris. So the formation was generally 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1 for us at Bournemouth, and I think that's what he'll do. I think I'm right in saying, Chris, that towards the end of his time at Bournemouth, he did sort of experiment with three at the back. I think I'm right in saying that. So he did kind of play three at the back for a little bit, but for most of his career at Bournemouth, it was a four at the back with 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, that kind of thing. So that's good to know, and I think most fans would want to see that with the players we've got. I think four at the backs would suit us better. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, Wilson's quality anyway. Like, Wilson is absolutely brilliant. And I think what Howe's going to do, it's really exciting when you think about it, actually. If Howe can get us playing more attacking, we could have Wilson could become a 15 goal plus a season striker. Like this season, he's already scored 4. It wouldn't surprise me if Howe can get us playing in the way he wants us to. There's going to be more chances for Wilson, and as we know, Wilson is clinical. He's clinical at finishing. There's so many games when Wilson gets one chance and he takes it. He's a really good striker. If Saint-Maximin, Miggy given confidence boost and license to run, we should be in for a treat. And this is it. Like, Howe's saying, I want to play on the front foot. I want to impose our players on the opposition. And let's be honest, those two can run all day. And the criticism of those players is, end product possibly, certainly with Almiron, and running into blind alleys. It's going to be really interesting. Now, Saint-Maximin has improved a little bit in terms of like his distribution and not keeping the ball for too long, but he still does do that too often. So it'd be really interesting, I think, to see if Saint-Maximin, with good coaching, changes the way he plays a little bit in terms of like not keeping the ball as long, releasing it quicker, running on, getting the ball back, and just being more of a threat generally. It's so exciting, so exciting. It is worth saying, it's correct. Under Rafa, Almiron, he had 6 months with Rafa, didn't it? Or less than 6 months, 5 months, whatever it was. And he was starting to click with Rondon and Perez when Rafa left. And he was just starting to get into a groove. And then it kind of just, he couldn't score though, could he? Like he had so many chances and he didn't take any of them. But that's whatever, that happened. But he was better. And then under Bruce, he's just regressed. And then, like, I think it's just been a bad situation for him. That's what I feel, and I feel like I just want to see him given a chance with a good manager, and I think we've got a good manager. So Ed reckons we need 9 points from the next 4 games. What do you think? So these are Howe's first 4 matches, obviously, and how many points do you think we are going to get? How many points do you think we'll get from those 3 home games and Arsenal away? Brentford home, Norwich, and Burnley at home, and Arsenal away. How many points are we getting out of those games? Realistically, I made a video about this the other day, and I said, look, these are the most important 4 matches in the football club's recent history, and I stand by that. And I also said in that video, if we only win one of those games against Brentford, Norwich, and Burnley, but don't lose the other 2, so we get 5 points, that is not necessarily a disaster, okay? But we have to win at least one of them, minimum. Ideally, we win. Obviously, ideally, we win 3. But if we can win 2 of them and not lose the other, 7 points for me is massive. Who fancies us against Arsenal away? Arsenal going really well, let's be honest. Very tough team this season. They're starting to click a little bit now under Arteta. They are playing better. They are looking more dangerous. Arsenal away is going to be it's going to be a hard game. But what do you reckon? Those 4 games, Howe's first 4 matches, how many points is he going to pick up? What do you reckon? Will we get the bounce or not? Or will we be struggling by the time we enter December and playing Burnley? What do you reckon? I'd love to know what you think, because it's going to be an interesting one. Evening, DJ Earth. Nice that you're here again. Thank you for joining us. Sunderland supporter, obviously, but always welcome. Do you think you need a lot of new signings, or do you think you've got great players? Just Bruce was wrong manager. I wouldn't say we've got great players. I think we've got players who are better than we've seen. I think that there's more in this squad than we've been able to see with the way we've played and the way we've been training and the way we've been set up. It's a team low on confidence. It's a team low on understanding what we're trying to achieve. It's a team that has just had it's not had good guidance. And I think you put any players in that situation and they're not going to do anything special, Are they great players? No, the majority of them are not great players. The majority of them, especially our defensive players, and are not probably not even Premier League standard. They're not very good. But with a bit of organisation, a bit of confidence, and a bit of really good coaching, they can do better. I'm convinced they can do better. And we'll see what happens. Broke my heart when they saw Kelly. Absolutely gutted. He was great, wasn't he? Really top guy. Loved David Kelly. What a player. Hat trick against it, of course. Kelly hat trick, Cole hat trick, 6-0 up at half time. What a game. Lindisfarne playing on the half built Lee's end. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I remember Joe Linton from Hoffenheim. Nobody here understood why Newcastle did buy him. I wouldn't expect anything on that front. So you're saying he wasn't that good at Hoffenheim as well, Ian? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, when they sold Andy Cole, I remember. Oh man, I was at my friend's house. I remember it vividly. I was at my friend's house, and after school because I was like in year 6, I think, at the time, and that was the first time in my life when I was like genuinely gutted with something Newcastle had done. Like genuinely, it completely got me. I was just devastated. I loved Andy Cole, man. He was so good for us. So good for us. So going back to the Ryan Fraser thing, they loved Fraser. Then he didn't sign the extension for the extra months during COVID when fighting relegation, and he played consistently. So we all hate him now. So it's just because of the COVID thing. Why didn't he sign the contract? What was the deal with that? Like, what was the problem with? I know this season was like longer, wasn't it? So did it have something to do with like moving on? Was it something to do with that? If he signed a contract, then it would have made it harder for him to move. So anyway, but he did really well for you the season before, didn't he? He had like the most assists in the league or something. We want and need him to be ruthless. Maybe not firing Jonas Gutierrez ruthless. Yeah, that was just cruel, to be honest. But we have allowed too many players cursed, absolutely, and I think that stops now. How is not going to have people cursing? It's just not going to happen. Take away Arsenal, we've got winnable games till Man City at home, I think. So yeah, like, you're including Leicester away there. So obviously Brentford, Norwich, Burnley at home. We've got Leicester away, Liverpool away. You think Liverpool away is a winnable game, Liam? That's interesting. I maybe disagree with you on that one. Broke my heart when we sold Cole. Yeah, very, very, very bad. I think it'll be squeaky bum time. We'll finish 38 to 41. 38 to 41 points almost certainly guarantees your survival, though, doesn't it? 36 points is kind of your. If you get 37 points, you usually stay up. The last team to go down with 37 points, Newcastle United. You cried your eyes out when we sold Alex Maffey. I've never heard anyone say that before. Is it too early for Eddie Howe's Black and White Army? Absolutely not. That is guaranteed. That is going to happen on a week on Saturday. I'm absolutely sure of it. I think I'll go Wilson and Gale up front. I'm not sure we'll do that. I think I'm not sure we'll bring Gale in, but I could be wrong. I think he'll play Wilson up top and have someone behind him. I don't know who it'll be behind him. It'll be interesting to see. Look from a City fan. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, very positive. We're very, very impressed with him generally. I was over the moon with, like, he's got me excited about it. He's got me excited about Newcastle United. Absolutely, just yeah, it was good. It's been a good 2 days. That's interesting, Chris. They played Wilson and I don't know how to pronounce his name. So a big guy could drop deeper in the 10 position. Could be. This is kind of what I was thinking, if I'm honest with you. I didn't want to say it because I'm going to do a video on it next week, but a bit of a spoiler maybe. I might change my mind though when I haven't researched it properly yet as to what I think he'll do. Nathan, so this is the City fan. Realistically, where do you see Newcastle when Howe eventually leaves the club? What state do you think he'll leave the club? Well, earlier on in the stream, I was saying a lot of people are just assuming that Howe will come in, he'll do 2 years, stabilise the club, and then we'll get some big names manager in. Now that may well happen, could happen. I'm not going to deny it could happen, but I think if Howe does as well as are hoping he does. I think he could be with us in quite. I think he could be here for quite a while. I think he could surprise a few people, and maybe that's just me being optimistic and hopeful on the early days of the Eddie Howe reign. Talk to me in a year or so about how that's going. I hope that in a year's time I'm still sat here feeling the same way. But we've got good vibes from him. We've got good vibes about the way he's entered the club. He said the right things. He's done the right things so far. We're very excited about it. So, you know, I expect that when he does leave the club, it'll be in a very healthy position. Whenever that is, though, could be in a few years. It could be long term. Almiron needs bulking up. It's a fair comment. Like make him stronger. Yeah. Um, I'm not just putting the comments up because it sort of shares my opinion. Joelinton ain't half as bad as people make out. This is it. Like his £40 million tag and the fact he came in as a number 9 went completely against him. He's not a striker. I don't know why they gave him the number 9 shirt. Yeah, so the top 10's not maybe that unrealistic, but we will see, won't we? 33-1 for finishing in the top half. So what did you say? You put a tenner on it. Fair enough. 330 quid. 33-1 on Sky Bet. Wow. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Sorry, I'm just reading the comment before I put it on. So a little behind in the stream. So Titchy said, you mentioned Joe Linton. I think there's a reason Julian Nagelsmann wanted it to take him with him when he left Hoffenheim for Leipzig. He knows football. There's a player there. Interesting. So we'll see. We'll see. I can't wait. I seeing Joe Linton. This sounds crazy, but seeing what Joe Linton does over the next 6 months is going to be quite an interesting thing for me to watch. I feel like I put my neck on the line saying that there's a player there who can do a job for us. Okay, so let's be honest. What do you think is going to look to improve come January? The defence is the clear and obvious problem. Also, we have got an issue with defensive midfielders and really creative central midfielder as well. So I think kind of like the spine of the team. So obviously Wilson's great, Dubravka's great, but all the rest down the middle, that's a big problem area. That said, I think we've got some players who can come in and do a better job. So we talked about Fernandez and Cher and that kind of thing. I think they will come in under Howe, and I think that they'll get more game time, and I think they'll improve us. Thank you. So you put 5 past Chelsea in a game once. Can't remember the season, but yeah, hope you under Eddie shock a few of the big boys. I've got a feeling we might. Let's hope we do. So Jan's saying 2 defenders, 2 midfielders, and a striker. Yeah, that's kind of what I'd go for. Yeah, 2 midfielders, two defenders, and a striker. 2 centre halves, maybe a fullback. Definitely a defensive midfielder, and maybe some kind of like box to box or attacking midfielder, and then a striker to boost our options up front. Really, at the end of the day, Wilson is great, but he doesn't play every game of the season. We know that. Okay, so going back to this is the number of points that I said from the 4 games. So, oh my goodness, there's so many comments coming through. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much to everyone who's commented and is part of the stream. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the like button. It spreads the stream to more people. It just helps the channel a little bit. Okay, so let's go through this quickly. Liam reckons 2 wins and a draw. That's 7 points. Brian reckons 10 points. Imagine if we got 10 points from those 4 games. Man, I'd be absolutely buzzing. Just 2 out of 9 from the home games. So you think we'll draw 2 of the home games? I'm assuming we're going to lose it to Arsenal away. Paddy reckons 5. 5's not a disaster. People think 5 would be a disaster. I don't think it would be personally. 7-9. 2 out of 12. So Joe's just confirming that he thinks we'll lose to Arsenal as well. Mark reckons 10. Imagine if we went unbeaten in those 4 games. My goodness. We're dreaming then, aren't we? Maybe that top half finish wouldn't look so silly then if we did that. Eddie's a fantastic appointment. We don't need a Champagne Charlie manager, and we do not need Champagne Charlie players. Fair point, Kenneth. I agree with you. 5 to 7 points from those 4 games. 7 points seems a popular choice. We will see. It is early days, and I guess we might learn quite a bit from. We will learn a lot from these 4 games, of course. Brian reckons we need 12 wins for the season. I actually disagree with that, Brian. I know that if we got 12, we'd obviously be safe because we'd have 40 points. But I think if we got 9 or 10 wins and some draws, we'd be all right. Chris reckons 7. Gordon reckons 9 points, but we don't need 9 points. If we get 6, 7 points, that would be good. I agree with that. I think 7 would be fantastic. 5 would be the lowest I think would be acceptable would be 5, and that's because of the swinging points that the teams we're playing. Like, it's because if we draw with Norwich and Burnley rather than lose to them, the swing of the points is massive, and so not losing to them is almost as important as beating them. Eric reckons 12 points. Might draw Brentford though. You think we're going to beat Arsenal away? Interesting. I mean, I hope we do. But Peter reckons between 5 and 7. 9 points for Santosh. 10 points for Biker Tea Cake. Fantastic. 10 points to 1 will be Arsenal. Imagine that, man. Joe reckons Arsenal will rip us through. I think Arsenal are just going to... Let's be honest, Arsenal are very, very good as well. They're playing very well this season. And we never do well against Arsenal. Yeah. So there's been confident, but I'm not confident about the Arsenal game, if I'm honest. But it is football. You never know what's going to happen. Brentford 3-1. So Unknown Spectator reckons a win, 3 wins at home, and then possibly a draw to Arsenal. So 9 or 10 from you. Alfie reckons 7. Neil reckons 3-0 Norwich as well. Jan reckons we can get to 18 points by the end of December. Yes, we can. So we're on... Are we on 5? Are we on 5 now? 5 points, aren't we? So that would be 13 more points. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you, Jan. I think we can get to 16, 17, 18 points. I think we'll be all right. Let me remove that now. Yeah, so... if we can creep out of the bottom 3 before January, we could have players like Jesse Lingard for the second half of the season. And this is it. If we can keep that gap under how reasonable, we can attract some players in January, improve the team. That fits his style of play as well. I'm feeling good. And I hope it's not misplaced optimism. But I've not felt this way about Newcastle for a long, long time. Genuinely, like proper feelings of excitement and like I can't think of the word now. It's gone out of my head. But like I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic about the future for the first time in about a decade and a half. It's just a strange place to be. I'm just going to scroll down. So, yeah, I had this thought the other day, Joe. I wonder how bad our season would be if we still had Ashley and Bruce now. Imagine how depressed we would all be right now. It would just be awful. It would be absolutely dreadful. Thank the Lord that. Well, that's not where we are. Yeah, cheers, mate. Get the likes up. Thank you. Yeah, Liam's agreeing. 2 centre backs, 2 midfielders, a striker. I think that's kind of the consensus, isn't it? 2 centre backs, certainly. At least 1 centre back and a full back. I think we'll buy 5 players or 6. 5 or 6 is what I reckon. James reckons we'll get 4 out of 12 points, which would be, I'd say that's just a little bit on the low side for me. That would make me nervous if we only got 4 points. But we'll see. I just hope we win the game. We need to just win a game soon, don't we? That's the thing. So, yeah, I've done that. Done it all. Right. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to sign off soon. I really do appreciate everyone who's joined me this evening. All the Newcastle fans, obviously, which is the majority of you. But thanks to all the other fans of other clubs who've popped in and said their piece. I appreciate it. Don't forget, Friday I've got my newsletter coming out. So in the description below here, you can sign up for that completely for free. Every Friday I release that. And it's just about Newcastle basically, and there's some trivia and there's an article, and I preview the games that are coming up. Obviously there's no game this week, so that won't be there this week, but every other week I do that. So yeah, do that. Hit the like button on the video as well, because then it'll spread to people when it's not live and all that kind of stuff. So thank you. I'm optimistic. Sounds like everyone out there is optimistic. Even though we're 19th, it feels good to be a Newcastle supporter right now. And Yeah, buzzing. Cheers, everybody. Have a good evening. I will see you on Saturday morning for a live stream. So don't forget that one. If you're up at 10:30ish on Saturday morning, join us. Me, my dad, and my brother will all be there. There he is. Look, Gordon, my dad. So we're going to be doing that live. So it'd be great to see some of you there as well. So tune in for that. Thank you very much, everyone. And yeah, enjoy your evening. See you soon.